So let's talk about the process. What happens after you call 911? 911 dispatcher will contact Sheriff's Department, and it's really important to know which county you are recreating on, because this will cut the time of the call. So once they contact the Sheriff's Department, Sheriff is the one who decides who he needs to call for rescue. He has multiple sources to choose from. He can have either local search and rescue teams, he can ask park rangers for help, and he has some additional resources. Local search and rescue units can be ground, such as Clackamas Search and Rescue Team, and they will generally cover non-technical ground. Then we can also have posse.
Posse? Wait. Why do they get to be called posse?
They get the cool name, not like us.
These are the guys on horses.
On
they
horses.
Get to ride up and say, "I'm the posse,
Yes.
and we're here to save you."
Yes.
It's not fair.
It's not fair. Then we also work with K9 unit.
Oh yeah, and those are the ones everybody loves, right?
Steal
The dogs
spotlight.
show up,
Yes.
the TV cameras. Yeah,
Yes.
got it.
And lastly, there's Mountain Unit,
Wow.
which is us, Portland Mountain Rescue, or Craigorets. And this is the unit that will help with high angle and difficult terrain. In addition, Sheriff can also ask for local ambulance service, such as AMR Reach and Treat.
Those guys are great.
They are, and they are paramedics who are trained to go into wilderness to help the patients. We also have communication unit, and here we have Mountain Wave. And as you will learn later in the presentation, FSR radios work in line of sight, which means that if we're in difficult terrain, our radios don't work very well, if they work at all. So communication unit comes in with this really cool porcupine-looking truck with a lot of antennas.
I counted 27 antennas on the top of
Oh
the
my
truck.
gosh, yeah. And they boost our signal basically. So they allow our radios to work and we can communicate better. And lastly, Sheriff can ask for aerial help, which is Air Force, National Guard Medevac, and Coast Guard. Now, you cannot get rescued with the helicopter every single time you go and you get hurt.
I got on eBay this watch, and you just push the button, and the helicopters come. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, Mark. That's not how it happens. So Sheriff reserves the right to use the aerial help only for life and death situations. And it really depends also if it's available and if the conditions are right. So if the Sheriff decides that, yes, we need help from, let's say, medevac, sometimes the crew will come and say, sorry, the conditions are not good, you have to figure something else out. So don't count on a helicopter come and pluck you off the mountain. It really has to be a life and death situation.
How do we get all that going in the first place? How do we know to even somebody needs help?
Yeah, so there are different ways to ask for help. Everybody has a cell phone, right? You can use the cell phone. We also have satellite messengers such as InReach, Spot, Personal Locator Beacon, or if everything else fails, you can send someone for help. So let's talk about cell phones. Cell phones are great. Everybody has one. It's a two-way communication. You can text, you can call. There are some disadvantages, however, because
well, the batteries aren't so great.
the battery, the coverage is not great.
Yep, doesn't always work.
No, as I mentioned before, cell phones and FSR radios are silent line. So if we are somewhere in the thick woods, or if you're somewhere in a ravine, your signal might not travel very well. And another thing to remember, if you go higher in the mountain and you make that phone call, the signal can travel so far that the 911 dispatcher, when they receive it, they could be 50 or 30 miles away and they'll be out of their area. So they might seem pretty confused at first. So be very patient with them and try to explain to them that you are on a mountain, you're not on a particular street, and that you need somebody to contact the Sheriff's Department. And another limitation, as you mentioned, is the battery life. So Mark, with those limitations, what can we do to get the best use out of our phone?
Well, there are some ways that we can really increase the reliability and effectiveness of the phone. The first is, as you mentioned, Anya, if you don't have a great signal to start with, get to higher ground, get to where maybe you can see all the way down the valley to a town, or you can see down to the Columbia River from the gorge. That usually helps. But something you shouldn't do, if you don't have a great signal, and probably what you're going to do, you're going to try to call 911 and your phone's just going to sit there. Here's a phone. Phone's going to sit there and it's just going and going. You're looking at it, it's still going and going. Stop. Your phone is working super hard when it's trying to get that call out and not being successful. What it's doing is it's sending signals to all the cell towers. It's trying super hard. I'm here, I'm here. And that just sucks down battery like crazy. So if you're not getting a signal pretty much immediately, stop. In fact, turn your phone off until you've moved to higher ground. Then turn your phone back on. When you turn it on, the moment you turn it on, the phone's going to be pinging to see if it can get a signal. If it gets a signal quickly, great. If it doesn't, again, maybe move to higher ground and try again. But don't keep trying to get a voice call out in particular. Another thing you can do is that text messages require a far weaker signal can get a text message out than a voice call. So let's say you only have one bar. Go ahead and text a friend. Tell them it's an emergency. I mean, you guys are all good at texting. Tell them that. Tell them to call 911. That's what they've got to do. You got to say call 911 and try to tell them where you are. Your phone will keep trying to send that text message. And then when it does send it, of course, you get that nice little tone. And you know it's going through. So try that. If you're unable to even get a text message out, having at least turned on your phone and tried to send that text message, your phone will have pinged a bunch of towers. We had a rescue here recently, just this year, where the phone company was able to help the sheriff and go in and see all the places that the phone had pinged, and at least be able to triangulate to where the phone, the general area where the phone was probably at. So that's worth a try. Anya, you talked about the whole battery thing. I've already said turn the phone off. Some other things you can do to increase the reliability of your battery. First, keep it warm. Take your phone, put it in your armpit. If it's in one of your outer pockets, get it to an inner pocket. Keep that thing warm. It's going to make a big difference. If you've made a voice connection, or even if you've just made a text connection, and you don't know how long you're going to be out there, maybe tell the people you're communicating with, I'm turning my phone off, and I'm going to turn it on again on the hour, and leave it on for 5 minutes on the hour, so I can communicate with you and vice versa. The rest of the time, I'm going to leave it off. Don't do that without telling people that's what you're doing, but give them that. Give yourself that opportunity to save the battery.
I have a good tip.
Yeah, let's hear your tip.
Yeah, when I go ice climbing and it's super cold, the battery will drain like crazy. I take 2 hand warmers, put them in a little baggie, and I put my phone in between them, and I keep it close to my body.
Close to your heart, I see. All right.
But then I can also warm up my hands.
Yeah, when you make the call.
Yes.
Beautiful. Call out, what are you going to say? So, of course, as in any emergency, you want to be calm and concise. A key thing to know is, as Anya mentioned, the 911 operator may not be able to discern your location. 911 calls, 99% of them, probably more than that, are urban calls. And the person knows their address, or the 911 operator can just look on the phone and see, oh, this is at 1200 6th Street, and they just go from there. I mean, that's what they're used to. They are not accustomed to thinking in terms that this call is coming from the wilderness. More than once, somebody has called for help up on Mount Hood, and the 911 operators concluded that they were in the Timberline ski area, and that ski patrol would help them. No. So you got to be really clear in explaining to the operator what kind of a situation you're in. That I'm deep in the Columbia Gorge on a hike. I'm 5 miles from any road. I'm up on top of Mount Hood. I'm not in a ski area. You got to say all that. When you make the call, originally you're going to be talking to the 911 dispatcher. They'll turn you over to the sheriff, and a search and rescue deputy will then be calling you back. And that's the person you'll communicate with the rest of the time. Typically, you're not talking to the rescuers like Anya and me. Sometimes, but not most of the time. Be really honest with the sheriff. Tell it just like it is, as gory as it is, and you've got other members of your party cold and in trouble. You tell them that also. I guess the one last skill related to the cell phone that I want to cover is getting your location communicated. So smartphones, really any telephone since 2011, the FCC has required the phone to be equipped with a GPS chip. So even if you're not using a GPS app, your phone has a chip, and the 911 operator is capable, or at least technically capable, of activating your chip and drawing your coordinates right from the phone without you having to do a thing. Now, I say technically capable of doing that does not mean that the 911 operator is well practiced on that, that he's going to remember he can do that. So don't rely on it, but it's great when they can do it. What you need to be able to do is to find your GPS coordinates and communicate those. And your phone is full of ways to do that. One thing that's funny is if you wasted your battery and posted on Facebook, we can actually lift your coordinates out of Facebook.
Picture, yes.
We can lift your coordinates off of a picture. You just send us a picture of the patient, and the metadata is going to have your coordinates on it. That's more work for us. We'd rather you gave us the coordinates, but it's there. Some other really direct things you can do. Anya, you know that your phone has a compass function, right?
It does.
All right. And both on the Android and the iPhone, if you call up the compass function, what's right there?
You have your regular compass, but it also has your latitude and longitude.
The coordinates are right there. So you could read those to the 911 operator. Better yet, just text those to the sheriff. Just do a screenshot of your compass and text that to the sheriff. That's a fantastic way to do it. Most of us in the backcountry use a GPS app, and I've got a favorite. Anya, what's yours?
My favorite is Gaia.
Ah, same favorite. There we go. All the rescue units pretty much anymore use Gaia, and we're not going to go into an instructional here, but you should be proficient in finding your coordinates there. And again, great thing to do is just send a screenshot. Another thing you can do, every phone has a mapping app, and in that mapping app, you can just simply touch the phone. I'm talking about the Street Map app, like Google Maps. Touch your location, and you'll see pretty quickly there's an option to share that. So text that to the sheriff. And wow, that's great, because even rescuers that don't have Gaia GPS, they can just call up the Google map or the iPhone map, and bang, your location's right there. So those are really great things to do if you just have a little bit of preparation in advance that you can do while you're sitting on a boring conference call and just figure out how all that works.
Yeah.
So if I can't get a cell phone connection, we talked about that, I bet there's some technologies and gizmos that'll go further.
There are. Next we're going to talk about satellite messengers. And there's different types, different kinds, they're really, really cool. A big advantage of having a messenger is the battery life. Like we said, cell phone dies pretty fast. It depends how old your cell phone is. Mine probably will last less than a day. But messengers can last from 75 hours to 5 years, depending which one you get. So let's talk about them. There are different types. You can have a one-way messenger, or you can have two-way messenger. One-way messenger is mainly just for distress call, and we'll talk about this in a second. But then if you get the more fancy ones, they have capabilities like tracking your journey, They can post your GPS to a website like Facebook or Instagram. You can preload a I'm okay message that will text from time to time to your family members. If there's an emergency, it will make an emergency call to the rescuers. If it's a non-emergency issue, it will contact your person, whatever you designed as your contact person.
So why are these better than phones? Is it talking to satellites or? What?
Yes,
Okay.
so exactly.
So it's not relying on the cell
It's not
phone.
really,
Okay.
yes, exactly. So they are global and they are satellite based. And for example, let's talk about the PLB first, which is Personal Locator Beacon. It's a 1 unit, and you pay $300 for it. You don't have to pay any annual fees. You do have to register it so they know who is the owner. And then the battery life, because you only use it truly just for emergencies, it can last up to 5 years.
Yeah,
so
forever.
Forever. You don't have to worry about charging it. It's a tiny brick, but it's worth it. You put it in your backpack and you don't have to worry about it until you do. It is a one-way communication, so beware that if you do send this SOS call, you don't hear back from us. And on top of it, rescuers, we don't know what happened. We only know that there's a person or a party in distress, and we get the GPS coordinates, but nothing more. So then the next higher version of our messenger is Garmin InReach, and those are between $350 to $450 per unit, depends which one you choose, and then you have to pay either annual subscription or a monthly subscription. Their battery life is between 75 hours to 100 hours, depending what you use it for. This one is a two-way communication, so you can send a message that you are in distress, and then you can talk to the sheriff. You can tell them, I need help. I have 2 patients that are injured.
That'd be really useful to know.
Yes. So
more
then,
than one person or what?
Exactly.
Are they hypothermic or they got a busted back?
Yes, and then do we know if the patient is ambulatory? Do we have to bring a litter? Like what equipment do we need to bring with us? Another last one I want to talk about is a Spot, which is also, I think up to 4 years ago it was one-way communication, but now they are in competition with enReach. And this one is also, they make it in two-way communication. It's a little bit less expensive. It's between, I think, it's $150 to $250 per unit. The battery life is, I think it's multiple days too. It can also track your GPS and all of that. And the bottom line is, if you don't want to rely only on the cell phone, it's worth investing your money. And how do you choose which one you want to buy? It really depends what you want. I suggest you go on their website and check different features. This one also requires annual subscription or a monthly subscription. So you can choose whichever subscription is great for you.
And in the end of the day, the cost of these units works out to be pretty similar.
Yeah.
If you really compare them.
Exactly.
Look at the forums. We're not advertising for either one, but, read the forums. You'll see lots of opinions on which one people like.
Yeah, I don't have a preference. It's just whatever works for me. So. Mark, my phone died, and I don't have any fancy units with me, like no messengers. What do I do?
You're gonna die.
No.
Somebody's gonna have to go for help. But seriously, that's a bad situation. It's the old-fashioned technology, word of mouth. That's the way we used to always get help. But it requires some tough decision making. So let's say it's just you and me, Anya, and I've got a busted leg. We're 5 miles in. Nobody knows that we're supposed to be there for a couple of days, so nobody's coming. If you go, I may bleed out. Of course, if you stay, I may bleed out.
Yeah, it's a tough decision.
But it's a bad night, and it's dark, and are you really going to be safe? Down climbing, whatever it is we just went up. I mean, these are all tough decisions as to do you send somebody from help? If you got a large party and you can spare 2 people, a buddy, a buddy system group goes out and they're taking care of each other, that's a good scenario. Send those people right away, right? But if you don't have the luxury of that extra personnel, then it's a much harder call. And what it really comes down to is asking yourself the questions. If I send somebody for help, are they actually going to be able to get there? Is it safe for them to go? Will my party survive long enough without them to be able to go? Maybe we're better off just trying to tough it out without help or to self-rescue. So in the end, your question is, will sending somebody for help substantially improve the outcome? If the answer is yes, get them going, get them out of here now. And if the answer is no, then you got to figure out how to self-rescue or how to just survive the situation that you're in. And that's like I said, that's the way it used to always be done. And then the posse came on horseback, right? So, there's one thing that we really want to leave everybody with, and it's something I hope will help you with your risk management decisions, and that's looking at who's getting rescued in Oregon. In 2014, the Oregon Emergency Management Division compiled all their data for the prior 7 years and looked at, all right, what was the activity people were engaged in when they had to be rescued? And who were they? What were lots of data, and they've split it dozens of different ways. But we're showing you a chart here that describes what the activity people were doing when they got rescued. And Anya, this is going to be a quiz.
Uh-oh.
But all the answers are right here in front of you, so it's going to be an easy quiz. So Anya, if you look all the way to the left side of the graph, what is the most common activity that resulted in search and rescue?
It's what we all do, hiking.
Hiking. Yeah, you're a hiker?
I am.
I'm a hiker.
Yeah.
So in the words of that famous swamp philosopher Pogo, we are they, folks. It's all of us that are just getting out. We fall off a trail, we have a heart attack, we get lost. 24% of all the missions during that 7-year period, 24% were just hikers. A similar percentage was just motor vehicles, and that covers the whole range of criminal activity and cars missing and people missing. So that's a big category. So Anya, I want you to look further down the graph here and find climbers. How many, in 7 years, how many missions involved climbing?
I see 330.
330. That's a pretty small number compared to the number of hikers. And if you look right in that part of the graph there, other activities are very similar. Mushroom picking. These people go through the forest and they're looking at the ground the whole time. Then they finally look up and they have a clue where they are. If you look all the way over here, you see skiers. So if you combine the Nordic skiers and the other skiers, then you get a number that's like 260, again, similar to the climbers. But from the media, you would think all the missions were climbers on Mount Hood because that's what the media likes to cover. And I would mention also, this data is now 6 years old, and the backcountry skiing has increased very substantially in that time frame. And at least anecdotally, what we're seeing is more missions involving backcountry skiing today than we used to. Well, I think that's everything we were trying to cover. Anya, why don't you remind us the key points here?
So what have we learned? Well, helicopters not coming.
Not coming.
Rescues take a long time.
A really long time. You got to be prepared.
Yep, and you always should preserve cell phone battery.
Yeah, and know how to find your GPS coordinates on your phone. Do that at home.
Yeah.
And consider carrying a satellite messenger for emergencies when you're going to the backcountry.
Exactly.
Well, that's wonderful. I hope everybody got something out of that. Anya, you want to close by telling us a little about Portland Mountain Rescue?
Sure, who we are. Well, we are 100% volunteer based, even though I'm still waiting for my paycheck. We receive no compensation. We are dispatched by Clackamas Sheriff Department, so don't call PMR. If you have emergency, call 911 or Sheriff's Department. We are a registered 501c3 nonprofit organization. We do not charge for rescues.
Never.
We do it for free. And we are entirely funded by your donations, so thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
We're supported by the community. It's a
We
big
are.
deal.
It's a fantastic community.
Anya, this was fun. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mark.
All right.